Just a few years ago, the Lhotse Everest double push was considered the pinnacle of high-altitude endurance. Then, Kristi Harilla from Norway scaled Everest and Lhotse in just 8 hours and earned the title of the fastest climb by a woman. Furthermore, on the 27th of July 2023, Harilla and her guide, Tenzin Sherpa from Nepal, established a new record by summiting all 14 above 8,000-meter true geographic summits in 92 days. Harilla is still the world record holder for being the fastest mountaineer to climb all 14 eight-thousenders. Nims Purja, aka Nimsdai, a former British Gurkha Special Forces soldier from Nepal, was the former record holder for scaling all 14 highest peaks between April and October 2019 in a time of 6 months and 6 days. He also managed to complete the first winter ascent of K2 in 2021. Regarding speed, Nimsdai is the mountaineer with the fastest ascent of Everest, Lhotse and Makalu in only 48 hours. In contrast to Reinhold Messner, the first human to scale all 14 above 8,000-meter peaks in alpine style, without supplemental oxygen and Sherpa support, Kristi Harilla and Nims Purja used plenty of oxygen bottles during their climbs. Still, climbing the Everest Lhotse double in 8 hours and Everest Lhotse Makalu in 48 hours are remarkable accomplishments that are hard to imagine. But what if a climber could take it even further? What if someone is crazy enough to dare climbing not 2 or 3, but 4 eight-thousenders during a single speed run, without any break between the summits? To make things even more challenging, instead of selecting just any mountain to climb, why not target the most difficult eight-thousenders in the Karakoram mountain range? The 4 mountains in question are K2, Broad Peak, Gasherbrum I, and Gasherbrum II. And as the icing on the cake, what if the planned duration of this impossible task is supposed to be shorter than 48 hours? This would be the ultimate speed challenge in mountaineering history, and one man is attempting it. Before meeting him, let's clarify why such a daring adventure has never been tried before. Summiting an above 8,000-meter peak is a life-defining achievement. But why has no one attempted to climb 4 of them in a row? The answer to this question lies in human biology. Mountaineers, who intend to summit one of the 14 highest peaks of our planet, not only face avalanches, hidden crevasses, and sudden storms with extremely low temperatures, but they also have to conquer the death zone. This name refers to the part of the mountain which lies above 8,000 meters, where adequate oxygen is 40% less than at sea level due to the low air pressure. People tend to get acute mountain sickness at just 2,000 meters. Therefore, mountaineers start feeling the effects of high altitude already at the base camp. Headaches, fatigue, breathlessness, and a change in appetite are the most common symptoms. Chemoreceptors, called cord bodies, detect the decreased amount of oxygen reaching the lungs and brain and trigger the hypoxic ventilatory response. The climber starts breathing more frequently, a helpful reaction, but the body will also start experiencing symptoms of hyperventilation. Hyperventilation creates respiratory alkalosis, a reduction in CO2 that limits how many breaths the climber can physically take. As a result of this chain reaction, the increased rate of breathing won't be able to fully compensate for the lower barometric pressure. The body, therefore, must adapt to other ways for transporting more oxygen. The body produces more red blood cells to increase oxygen transport, but the rise in hemoglobin thickens the blood. This fact increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes from clogged blood vessels. In the worst case, this can turn into chronic mountain sickness, with the thickened blood leading to heart failure. To increase the body's hemoglobin production, smoothly and naturally, mountaineers need to take their time, to allow their bodies to acclimatize, and avoid rushing straight to the summit with the intake of supplemental oxygen. Besides performing several acclimatization rounds on the mountain, physical and mental preparation before arrival at the base camp plays a crucial role in a safe summit success. High-altitude mountaineers can improve several key parameters of their bodies through progressive cardiovascular training. One of these parameters is VO2 max, which stands for the maximum rate of oxygen consumption attainable during physical exertion. Another key parameter influenced by training is the resting heart rate, or RHR. Endurance training lowers the body's resting HR, the heart muscle becomes more assertive, and the left ventricle becomes larger. As a result, the heart pumps more blood with each stroke, and fewer heartbeats can achieve the same result. Training over an extended period of time can also improve other parameters, such as heart rate reserve, HRR, and respiratory exchange ratio, RER. However, in the fast-paced age of AI and TikTok, these natural methods appear too slow, too complicated, and require dedication over an extended period. With several weeks of hypoxia training at home, a conventional Everest expedition lasts around 10 weeks, if not longer. An article dated January 10, 2025, which appeared in the Financial Times, announced that climbing Mount Everest in just a week is possible, and it is planned for the upcoming 2025 climbing season. Early this May, an airline pilot, 2 entrepreneurs, and a government minister will wait for the call to mobilize. The British group's gear will already be at Everest Base Camp, alongside Lucas Furtenbach, an Austrian mountain guide. As soon as he declares that a weather window is about to open, his clients will dash to Heathrow for the next flights to Kathmandu. Lucas Furtenbach is a highly experienced mountain guide and the owner of Furtenbach Expeditions. The company is proud of the safe 8,000er expeditions, which they have accomplished with a 100% success rate. The company specializes in flash expeditions. The clients start their acclimatization process at home with the help of hypoxic tents 4 weeks before departure to Nepal. Experts set up those tents, and under their supervision, the expedition members' bodies will slowly be acclimatized to a height equivalent to the highest camp on the target mountain. Thanks to this innovative pre-acclimatization technique, Furtenbach Adventures offers clients the chance to climb Mount Everest in 3 weeks. A helicopter shuttle from Lukla to Everest Base Camp, 2 personal climbing Sherpas for support, and the use of bottled oxygen at a high flow rate are usually included in the expedition package. A conventional Everest expedition, which the company also has in its portfolio, lasts 6 weeks, others up to 10 weeks. In the upcoming 2025 Everest spring season, Furtenbach now wants to do the whole thing in just 1 week. Can that work? Now let's have a closer look at the planned schedule of the 4 busy clients who are willing to try the high-speed, 1-week Everest expedition. The British group will take a taxi from Kathmandu Airport straight to a health clinic. For 30 minutes, each adventurer will wear a mask attached to a ventilator for administering Xenon, a rare noble gas, more often used as an anesthetic, and a rocket propellant. After inhaling a Xenon blend formulated by a German doctor, who first presented Furtenbach with the radical idea, the men will fly by helicopter to base camp. Within 2 hours to get ready and meet their half-dozen Sherpas, they will immediately begin their ascent. The pre-acclimatization treatment using Xenon is the key part of an audacious approach that Furtenbach thinks could transform commercial mountaineering. If he can pull off his plan, which he is revealing now after years of secret preparation, his clients hope to return to the UK just a week after they leave. I'm super excited to see if we can leave home on a Monday morning, be on the summit of Everest on Thursday night, and make it home for Sunday lunch, says Garth Miller, the pilot and leader of the group, which includes Alastair Cairns, Britain's Veterans Minister, and a former British Royal Marines Colonel. So what's the theory behind using Xenon, and how is it expected to help for a speedy ascent? Breathing different gas mixes in harsh climate and pressure conditions is not new, For decades, recreational scuba divers have used enriched air, aka nitrox, instead of compressed air, to prevent decompression sickness, to increase no-stop dive time for longer dives, and shorter surface intervals. Technical, military, and professional divers working at offshore oil and gas applications prefer to breathe another gas mixture, called Trimix. At specific depths and longer dive times, both nitrogen and oxygen can induce a state similar to drunkenness. Adding helium as the third element, hence the name Trimix, reduces these side effects, and divers can think more clearly. From the depths of the oceans to the top of the world, there is an enormous difference in ambient pressure. In 2019, Furthenbach was contacted by Dr. Michael Fries, who is an anesthetist at a hospital in Limburg an der Lahn in Germany. He had heard about Furthenbach's already radical approach to the mountains that rise into the death zone above 8,000 meters. Fries told Furthenbach that Xenon could unlock even faster ascents. The doctor knows all about the gas as an anesthetic, but he says it has a separate effect at lower doses, boosting EPO production. Simulating high-altitude conditions in advance, the theory goes, triggers the body's natural response to hypoxia, or low oxygen levels, by telling the kidneys to make more erythropoietin, or EPO. The hormone, a synthetic version of which is banned in sport, boosts the production of red blood cells, increasing the body's capacity to transport oxygen. Mountaineers otherwise have to acclimatize by waiting for their kidneys to produce EPO on the mountain as a natural adaptation to an oxygen deficit, but this takes time, requiring rest and rotations, or temporary descents and repeated climbs. Get it wrong, and hypoxia can cause symptoms ranging from headaches to death. Altitude sickness has killed about 15% of the 335 people who have died on Everest. Xenon seems like a potentially powerful new tool, and while Dr. Fries accepts that the science on its use in mountaineering is thin, he says he has no safety concerns, given the wealth of studies about Xenon's use as an anesthetic, and the relatively low doses that Miller's group will take. Fries also points out that unanticipated harm is always possible with new approaches in extreme environments. While we only need to be patient for just a few more months to find out about the results of this first Everest-in-a-week expedition, and note the lessons learned from the experience of Captain Miller's speedy teammates. Regarding the fast arrival of mountaineers with helicopters to EBC, it's worth noting that a dispute is developing between the Kathmandu government and the Khumbu Valley's local population. During the 2024 climbing season, there were 6,000 flights from Lukla to the base camp. That's a heavy burden for the Sagarmatha National Park, and might lead to an end of wilderness experience. Because the villages are located at high altitude, the helicopters fly pretty low over the houses in the community. Besides, the porters lose potential income if the visitors have their luggage on board. While this helicopter flight from Lukla to Everest Base Camp comes to an end, it's about time to introduce you to the daring mountaineer, who will attempt summiting 4 eight-thousanders in less than 48 hours. Meet Benjamin Vedrins. He is a 32-year-old French high-altitude mountaineer and alpine climber. He is the record holder, the fastest man in the world to climb a peak above 8,000 meters. Born in a small town in the French Alps, he got involved with alpine mountaineering from an early age. Furthermore, he is an experienced steep skier and a high mountain guide certified by UIAGM, or International Union of Mountain Guides Associations. Veterans combines his passion for the mountains with paragliding. He climbed all notable peaks in the European Alps, including the trilogy of the three great north faces of the Alps, Eiger, Jorises and Matterhorn. His experience in the Himalayas and Karakoram mountain ranges covers Shishapangma, Annapurna, Broad Peak and K2. In 2022, he covered in Europe the Écrins and Mont Blanc Massif in record time. He then travelled to Karakoram and broke a record for the fastest ascent of Broad Peak in 7 hours and 28 minutes and signed for the first paraglider descent. 9 days later, he attempted K2 but suffered from severe hypoxia and lost consciousness at 8,400 meters. He was found by other climbers. François Casanelli, an Italian mountaineer, guide and rescuer, saved his life. For Benjamin Veterans, giving up is not an option. He continued climbing in Europe and reached peak physical conditions within 2 years. In the 2024 climbing season, he attempted K2 again and tried to accomplish the same success he had achieved on Broad Peak 2 years earlier. The result was a record for the fastest ascent of K2 without supplemental oxygen and Sherpa support in less than 11 hours. Benjamin Veterans finalized this climb by performing the first paragliding descent from the top of K2. A more detailed view of this accomplishment will follow near the end of this video. These 4 peaks selected by veterans stand as titans of the Karakoram. They are legendary, deadly, and brutally unforgiving. Conquering them all in one continuous push in record time would be the most astonishing feat of endurance ever attempted in mountaineering. Now let's have a closer look at the mountains Benjamin Veterans plans to climb. You are watching the footage fast-forwarded with speed ramping. Veterans has not decided yet whether he would like to start with the most difficult, that would be the Mountain of the Mountains, K2, or the easiest 8,000er, namely Gasherbrum II. In this video, we will introduce the targeted mountains according to their rank in the list of the world's 14 highest peaks. Gasherbrum II is the 13th highest mountain in the world at 8,035 meters, or 26,362 feet above sea level. The name Gasherbrum means in Balti language, beautiful mountain. The first ascent happened on July 7, 1956, by Austrians Fritz Moravec, Joseph Lahr, and Hans Willenpart by the southwest ridge. Andrzej Bargiel, who wrote history with the first ski descent of K2 in July 2018, also made the highest descent from Gasherbrum II on skis. On July 19, 2023, he climbed the mountain without the use of supplementary oxygen and began his ski descent from the summit. Enjoy rare footage from this daring attempt. The next mountain, targeted by Benjamin Vedrines, is Broad Peak. He is not a stranger to this formidable mountain. As a matter of fact, Vedrines holds 2 records in connection with Broad Peak. In 2022, he broke a record for the fastest ascent to the summit of the world's 12th highest peak at 8,051 meters, or 26,414 feet. He climbed via the normal route, and in only 7 hours and 28 minutes, he covered the distance from the foot of the mountain to the summit. After this summit's success, he took off and managed the first paragliding takeoff of Broad Peak in history. The first ascent of this mountain was in June 1957, accomplished by Fritz Wintersteller, Markus Schmuck, Kurt Diemberger, and Hermann Buhl as part of an Austrian expedition. By the way, Broad Peak is ideal for admiring spectacular views of K2 from a short distance. The 2 mountains are located opposite of each other, with only the Baltoro Glacier separating them. The next mountain on the list of Benjamin Vedrines is Gasherbrum I. Also called the Hidden Peak, in reference to its extreme remoteness, Gasherbrum I is the highest mountain in the Gasherbrum Massif, and it's the world's 11th highest peak at 8,080 meters, or 26,510 feet above sea level. Gasherbrum I was first climbed on July 5, 1958, by Pete Schoening and Andy Kaufman as the members of an American expedition. The exceptional mountaineer Pete Schoening performed a heroic act 5 years earlier during a failed attempt on K2. Schoening, despite already holding his teammate Art Gilkey on belay during the attempted traverse to Camp 7, through strength, quickness and skill, managed to arrest the fall of 6 men to death, with his ice axe wedged against a boulder frozen in the mountainside.
K2, the world's second highest peak, is already documented in great detail by numerous publications. In this review, we will therefore focus on different aspects of the impossible mountain, instead of repeating the well-known facts. Watching paragliders taking off from a steep hill might lead to the conclusion that this footage was probably shot on a mountain in the European Alps. However, the scene shows K2 and the paragliders starting their flights from Camp 4. This new trend started during the 2023 climbing season, and due to the spectacular scenery around K2 with Broad Peak, Gasherbrum I and II, and the Baltoro Glacier, the expectation was that in the 2024 climbing season, K2 would see a development similar to what we can observe on Mont Blanc. The new challenging goal for paragliders worldwide was declared as achieving the first landing on the K2 summit with a paraglider, and of course, the first descent from the summit. However, this trend came to an abrupt halt after the Brazilian mountaineer and paraglider Rodrigo Raineri was fatally injured in July 2024. The Pakistani authorities banned the use of paragliders on and around K2. Therefore, instead of simply landing on the summit within minutes, mountaineers still need to climb K2 according to the rules of alpine or high-altitude climbing, along several routes. Those who manage to overcome the stresses and strains of climbing K2 and reaching the summit are awarded an unforgettable view and experience an explosion of feelings like joy, pride, euphoria, and a boost of self-confidence. As if questioning the authority of the local authorities, 4 Frenchmen wrote history on July 28, 2024, only 3 weeks after the paragliding ban on and around K2 took effect. Although they started their ascents at different times along different routes, all 4 reached the summit in the early hours of the same day. The first to the summit of the 4 was Benjamin Vedrine. He took off at 12:10 a.m. on Sunday, the 28th of July, 2024, from the advanced base camp. He climbed solo along the Abruzzi spur route without the use of supplemental oxygen, and reached the summit after only 11 hours. Vedrine then unfolded his sail and set off on his paraglider. On that day, Benjamin Vedrine not only broke the K2 ascent record by reaching the summit in 11 hours without supplemental oxygen, but he also accomplished the first paragliding descent of K2.
Vedrine currently spends his days with a dedication to achieving physical perfection under alpine conditions. You are now watching footage showing him during training while attempting to cover a trek near Mont Blanc at a fast pace. The mission of climbing 4 eight-thousenders in less than 48 hours is beyond risky. With no time for proper acclimatization, Vedrine will operate at the edge of human capability. He'll battle unpredictable weather, exhaustion, and the ever-present threat of altitude sickness. One mistake could mean the end, like it was the case in 2022. Benjamin Vedrine, therefore, pays attention to the outcome of the Everest-in-a-week expedition by Furtenbach Adventures. In his signature manner, he intends to attempt climbing all 4 mountains without supplemental oxygen. However, depending on the weather conditions and based on his body's performance, he plans to implement ski descents or paragliding from 1 or 2 summits on the way back. Furthermore, as Plan B, he will have the freedom of choice to either breathe xenon like Furtenbach's clients, or, for the first time for him, to use supplemental oxygen. Will Benjamin Vedrine redefine what's possible in high-altitude mountaineering? Can a human body endure 4 8,000-meter summits back-to-back? If he succeeds, he'll achieve the greatest endurance feat in mountaineering history.
We hope you liked this video and got some value from watching it. If you love extreme adventure content, please like and subscribe. Kindly leave a comment, and share your opinion, if you think that such a challenge is even possible. Updates on veterans' progress will follow soon, so please stay tuned. Thank you for watching.